do a little bit here about the mindset of how you win trading. And the majority of us, especially if you read the forums, have a belief system that you can build a model and that model will have some level of predictability, and it will basically repeat in the future, and then all you need to do is repeat that model and you'll always be okay. And the problem is that it's not possible, because although it looks like there's patterns in the market, really, that's just patterns in randomness, okay? Because if you look at the results of hedge funds that use models, basically their results vary, okay? Because although a model worked really well in the past, if the sort of random pattern of the market changes slightly, then that can dramatically affect the results. So, the very famous one is the Black Skulls model, and they won. The guys behind it won the Nobel Prize for Economics, and they thought they'd, discovered a model that completely eliminates risk from trading. And of course, well, I'll put the link below to some information about them. But essentially, it made a hell of a load of money, and then it lost an even more, because the belief was that they'd found a model that was that would always work. So obviously, then they risked too much money on it because they were doing well, and eventually it blew up. Okay, so if we can't find a model that is reliable, then basically we're saying that there's always going to be uncertainty no matter how we trade. So what sort of belief system should we have? And the reason I'm going down this route is because with all elements of trading, we're looking for like a definitive answer. Okay, so should I put my stop above the high, or is it better to put it over, or is it better to put it really tight? Is it better to use a wide stop and leave it there, or is it better to use a trailing stop after a certain amount of pips? And the problem is with these sort of questions is there's no answer, because it depends on what the market does next. Okay, so if in the last 6 months that whenever price has hit your stop loss, it's gone in your direction for 50 pips and then reversed. If that's happened a lot, then in that occasion, based on that data, then moving your stop to break even would have been better. But that is no guarantee that it's going to be the same in the future. And I think we all hold this belief that there are certain rules where it is true, and in the future it's going to happen just the same way, and it doesn't. And the only thing that we can say with very little uncertainty at all is that price is going to go up and down, and that's our opportunity is to trade that up and down movement and try and make the best of it. Okay, and so what should we believe in so we can we can trade? Because if your beliefs about what the market really is, or how it can be beaten, if you like, or how you can remove most of the uncertainty is completely wrong, then we're probably always going to struggle with trading, because we're trading, we're not trading the reality of what's happening. So what things should we believe in? Okay, for me, there's two things. Okay, you either use a very wide stop loss. Okay, and from that you get a lot of opportunities to take profit before it hits your stop loss. Okay, so let's say we went short here with a really wide stop loss. Okay, price is likely, because it goes up and down, to do something like that, say, and within that there's many opportunities to get out with profit before it hits your stop loss. Okay, so you're going to win a lot of your trades, but the ones where you don't pick the right exit, maybe price did this and you missed these two opportunities because you were looking for a bigger win, then you take a big loss, and that eats up a large chunk of your small winners. Okay, that's one way to approach the market. And then of course the other way is to use a very small stop all the time and hold them, and you'll get you'll get many that just stop you out like this, but you'll get some that go a long way to your target, and they'll pay for the many losers. And that is it. That is the only two beliefs that you should have in trading. Okay, and then your model, if you like, is just your structured way to achieve those two goals. So you need to decide, which one you're doing. Okay, and then you need to find a structured way to play that game out. Okay, because it's just lots of other people that you're trading against. As an example, I tried to do an example of this last week with the no stop loss. Okay, and essentially when you're doing the no stop loss, you're using a very wide stop, and you're giving yourself more opportunity to get out at profit. And if you use the stop loss version, like let's just have a look at this sequence here. Okay, so if we just use our sort of high-low thing with a stop loss, so we take a short there and a long there and a long here and a long here, and then then we're at the end of the period. So you can see here well, that's a break even. You'd lose this trade, you'd lose this trade, and you'd lose this trade, and you'd have one big winner. Okay, and hopefully that one big winner will pay for your three losers, and you'll have some profit left over. But that was only 25% win rate. Okay, and then let's say you just traded without a stop loss, and you took your opportunities to exit. So you'd sell here, buy here. Okay, or you can exit your sell here with a win, you sell again, exit with a win, sell again, exit with a win, sell again, exit with a win, buy here, that one didn't get a chance to profit, and sell here, exit with a win, sell here. Okay, so you see here we've got many winners. Okay, and we've got a really big loser with that buy, and a few other losers, and in theory your lots of wins will stack up to pay for your big loss and make a little bit of profit. So it's just those two variations really that you need to decide on, and then a model to give you some structure, because we can't deal with that uncertainty. If we have to trade every day with the belief that our outcome really is completely uncertain, then it's very difficult to do that. And that's why we all have this constant urge to find a definitive answer to all of the elements. What is the best stop loss? What is the best entry? Should we leave big bars and and only trade small bars? Should we trade only certain days of the week? Okay, and we're looking for all of these definitive answers based on a set of data. And if the market was like made by a machine and it did have specific patterns that repeated, then you could do that. But if you look at algorithms, they don't sort of set up an algorithm and then just let it run forever and that's it. This algorithm works, it's always going to work. They're constantly adjusting that algorithm, because the patterns are changing all of the time. So this is like quite a contentious issue, and some people really believe that certain elements together will have a defined edge, and that edge will always remain. For me, the only edge exists is that price at some point will move up and down, rather than just go along sideways. Okay, and again, there is no certainty in that, but for me, I see that as happening enough to mean that you can just go with either a wide stop and a high win rate, or a shorter stop loss and bigger wins. So for me, that's the mindset, and I know some people might disagree with that, or they might be offended by that. But if you believe there is specific models that work, then they should have consistent results. And when really talented and intelligent mathematicians try and work out these models, they nearly always come to the same conclusion, that these models tend to have like 50% over time, offer very little more edge than a 50-50. So I just wanted to do a little bit on that today, and I'd be interested on people's comments and views. And like always, I'd say if you do have a strong view against that, then what data are you basing that on, and sort of share it with us. So that's it for this morning. I will do another video because I'm trading H4. I'm not going to do like a recap every day, because that will be really boring. So I'm just going to do a few more of these videos with a bit more thought-provoking stuff about your mindset and your belief systems.